Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks. Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. Lots to chat about today. I welcome in my co-host to do just that, Jack Hirsch, Boxing Hall of Fame writer, and Michael Spink's biographer. I keep wanting to say autobiographer, and that's exactly the wrong thing to say. But Jack Hirsch is Michael Spink's biographer. Make sure you take a look for that book, Michael Jinx Spink, which Jack has, and I have as well. Might reread it. Who knows? Very good book. How we doing this morning, Jack? Are we all good? Excited? We're going to start today with the NFL just because, I don't know. I guess it's big news. For me, it's not as big a news. The NFL makes this big deal about the schedule release, and they do a great job of marketing themselves 12 months a year, but get this excited about a schedule release. And I have some issues I do want to talk about, but do you get excited? Do you watch the schedule release show, Jack?
No, I don't. It's meaningless to me, but it means something to other people. That's why we talk about it on this show, because it is newsworthy. And sometimes you have to acknowledge things that are meaningless to you. And this whole schedule thing, who cares who's playing on what dates? You think I'm planning my Thanksgiving Day around these games? And who knows what these games are going to mean on Thanksgiving? And Keith, in the beginning of the season, every game is meaningful. You could give me the worst combination of games, and I'm going to be interested in the beginning of the season because there's a storyline there.
I'd be willing to bet, and I wish I could find a way to do this, that by the end of the season, the Bears won't have the hardest schedule that it looks like now. And the Bengals won't have the easiest because you don't know what's going to happen. The Patriots schedule, which I heard about forever last year, didn't look as easy as it became during the course of the season. So you got to let these games play out, and you just play whoever you're playing. I mean, you don't have any choice. So I don't know what the fans get all excited about this whole thing.
And Keith, you were high on your New England Patriots last year. Most people weren't. I certainly wasn't. But if I had to look at the schedule at the beginning of the year and I see New England on the schedule, I'm not thinking that's a hard game. One of the tougher games at the beginning of the year. And as it turned out, they went to the Super Bowl. And then you look at the Kansas City Chiefs and you think, oh, that's a tough game. 3 years in a row going to the Super Bowl. And they turned out to be one of the easier games on the team's schedule last year.
Exactly my point. I mean, do we put any stock in the fact that, the Bears are, the stories I hear today, ESPN this morning was all over overreactions and, the Bears aren't going to make the playoffs because of their schedule. The Bears are a really good football team, and there's no reason they can't beat every team on that schedule. They won't. And the Patriots have a much tougher schedule. I think they'll be better and have a worse record. So what? Just make the playoffs.
I'm not sure whether they do this, and you inform me if you've ever noticed them doing this, but I haven't noticed this. They show you which teams have the hardest schedule based on strength of schedule, and they do it in order. For example, the Cleveland Browns supposedly have the easiest schedule, and the Bears have the hardest. After every week, did they readjust who has it the hardest and the easiest? Kind of like chances of winning. How many times have we seen a team with a 98% chance of winning?
Lose.
Next thing you know, it's 77%. Then it's 68%. Then it's 48%. Then they've actually lost. I mean, it happens now and then. So I don't know if the strength of schedule. We look at the Cleveland Browns, who have the easiest schedule. Are we supposed to believe they might be a playoff team this year? Maybe they will. I mean, they had a decent draft, but I don't anticipate them being that strong of a team.
That alone doesn't make them a playoff contender. No, it helps. But again, we don't know what the teams on that schedule will do. You made a great point before. We talked about the Patriots from the angle that they had an easy schedule. But what about all the teams before the season? We thought they had an easy schedule, but then because of the Patriots being on it. And that schedule changed a lot because of the Patriots' success as the season went on. So,
now week one, they have the Patriots going to Seattle, a rematch of the Super Bowl. I mean, why? I mean, the Patriots lost. I don't want to hear storyline of the Patriots trying to get revenge. It kind of reminds me of a line that Joe Namath used when the Baltimore Colts, they played the Jets 2 years later, and it was going to be on the schedule. And Namath said they could beat us 100 times in a row. It's never going to take away from us beating them in the Super Bowl. They're never going to get their revenge on losing the Super Bowl. The game's behind you. That's the end of it. Case closed. So why make New England go to Seattle? If you want to, why not just let teams play within their division in week one? Let the Patriots play the Jets week one.
I listen, I agree, because first of all, I'd like to win week one so we can get rid of the Mike Vrabel narrative as soon as possible, because it's going to take wins and that'll go away. But Seattle, I'm okay rewarding the team that won the Super Bowl, right? They get the spotlight the first game of the year. That's pretty cool. I don't need a rematch. And I think they did that for a while. I don't think we've had
that. I remember with the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl IV, they beat the Minnesota Vikings 23-7, and then they played them in the opening game in Minnesota to start the next season. And I remember Bud Grant, an old-fashioned NFL coach, he hated the AFL. He says, I see no significance in this game to play it, because he was scared they'd lose again to the Chiefs. But Minnesota beat the Chiefs handily at home. Then Bud Grant was bragging about how they did. But the bottom line is you lost the Super Bowl before that.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get all excited when they get beat by Seattle in week one, because they lost to the Raiders in week one last year.
Right now, Seattle at this moment looks more poised to win that game. But who knows what's going to happen by the time they play the darn game. Kenneth Walker isn't with Seattle anymore. You don't know. Sam Darnold could throw 4 interceptions for you. Grable could be super extra focused on the most important thing on his life, his Patriots, and you don't know how they're going to be faring.
Well, he does get paid a lot of money for that to be the most.
I was wrong to say that with Grable, because I don't know what he's feeling inside right now. He might be feeling true remorse. So I don't know. I apologize for that remark. I tried to be cute and funny, and I made myself look bad.
No, it's fair. It's fair.
For that.
If he's feeling something,
I apologize.
You don't need to apologize. I'm sure he's feeling stupid.
I'm apologizing to myself in part, because I have to be better than that.
You shouldn't be any different on camera than you are off camera, Jack.
Yeah, no. The story is, you want to know something? The Grable story, I'm getting a little tired of it too. There's only so much we could talk about it, and the truth of the matter is, let's start talking about football. The only thing I do want to say, Keith, that does bother me, and I thought of it the other day, and I don't mean to rehash it that much because we got a lot of other things to talk about. If a player puts hands on a woman, his wife, and the NFL finds out, it becomes public, that player's getting suspended. You put hands on your wife.
As you should.
But if you totally humiliate your wife the way Grable did his, nothing is done. But, a player could just grab his wife and shake her, and he's going to get suspended a couple of days. It's wrong. It's flat out wrong. Don't misunderstand me. But what is actually worse? What is worse?
Well, there's emotional abuse and physical abuse, right? So, the emotional part comes in, but physical. Listen, my guy's beating up his wife, and I'm not saying shaking her.
I'm not talking about beating.
I get it.
Yeah, you get it. Okay, it's all emotional, physical, whatever. It's all out of line. But
they're getting paid.
Like sparring in the gym. She wants to spar with the guy, and the guy knocks her down.
And the woman agreed to get hit, so that's fine. That's different. Now you know what I'm talking about.
I'm not going to delve into this any further. We might be going to a path neither of us want.
No. It's all good. It's all good. Also, I don't understand the need. I know why. It's about money. But 9 international games, Roger Goodell wants one every week. When we go to 18 games, he wants one international game every single week, and he's halfway there right now. 9 international games. I think it's ridiculous, including the first week. So that team doesn't get that team that would have opened at home loses their opening week.
It's about money, the brand. I mean, we can't. This is all sports. We don't know what to find a lot of these games at times. We're like bouncing around. We're with the TV guide. Is it on this channel? Is it on that channel? We don't know whether we're coming or going with these games. I can understand if the game is taking place, let's say from England, and you can watch it on the East Coast, 9:30 in the morning. It's a lead-in to the other games. You get nonstop football all the time. I can understand it. Look, they want to increase the brand. I can't knock him for wanting to take it to the other countries on a limited basis. But what happens if it's wildly popular in those countries? You can award the UK a franchise. You really can. It's like a 7-hour plane ride.
It would never work.
Get it done.
Never work. It would never, ever, ever work unless you had a whole division over there. You could maybe make it work. But
what about in Brazil? You have a team, the Brazilian Buttheads, for example.
You'll be the general manager. You'd be the general manager of that team. It's not a novelty. Listen, when it's a novelty and you're going to England once a year, that's great. Now we're playing 9 games. It's not a novelty anymore.
Well, but they're scattered in different locations, different countries, right?
Yeah, but we're going back to England 3 times. We're going to Germany twice. I know we have
there's going to be security issues too.
Yeah,
and which is concerning.
And the fans aren't taking in any consideration. I wonder what I have to pay if I'm a season ticket holder. You give me money back because I bought my season ticket.
One last game. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars got 2 games in a row, maybe in England. I believe I read they're going to stay, but that's the way to do it. They're going to stay over. The players won't mind it because they'll get to do a little sightseeing. It's going to be exciting for them to change of pace. It will be exciting for the players. And look,
they're working.
It's a 17-game schedule, right? It's going to go to 18 games, but it's 17 games this season, meaning there's 9 games either at home or on the road and 8 either at home or on the road. So there's this 1 extra game that the NFL can play with.
I guess. I just don't get it. And listen, England's become like, the Jacksonville Jaguars' second home. If somebody was going to move there, it would be them because
England cost Robert Salah his head coaching job with the Jets because Woody Johnson, the Jet owner, was an ambassador to England. And when the Jets lost to the Vikings there, he was humiliated to lose in front of all his friends and, associates in England. Salah was fired. Salah was fired when the Jets had a 2-3 record. 2-3 looks good for the Jets now, doesn't it? Since Salah got fired. And the opening game of the year, talk about a storyline. The Jets are playing the Tennessee Titans. And they're playing Robert Salah's Titans. What a storyline that's going to be if the Titans win that game. And, I thought Salah was the right guy for the Jets. I still feel he was. I'm not supporting Aaron Glenn getting fired, even though he was terrible last season. I grade him an F for the job he did. But I'm willing to go a second season with Aaron Glenn to see whether serious progress could be made. It might not necessarily completely be in the record. It's how competitive you are. The Jets were not competitive at the end of the season last year. They were completely non-competitive, and that's a terrible red flag.
Well, the Jets are the Jets, and they may have picked up a quarterback who's going to get them just enough wins to cost them their future quarterback next year. Who knows? So
Klubnik?
No, not Klubnik. I'm talking about Geno Smith.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Klubnik. I'm going to tell you why.
Go ahead.
Tell you why.
Go ahead.
I anticipate he's going to get an opportunity to play this year. And if he could recapture what he had a bad year for Clemson last year. There were maybe a variety of reasons, but at one point he was projected to be one of the top picks in the draft the year before last. If he can have a lights out year, the Jets would not have to draft a quarterback going forward. And imagine they could use their 3 number 1 draft choices on additional position players. I mean, that's how you really build a team.
It's an interesting scenario, but it's also a dangerous one because if he plays, say, 3 games, even 4 games at the end of the season, so it's not a big sample size, but he plays really well, you might get a false.
Really well. No. I mean, good enough,
right?
Where the jury's not out, where you say this is our guy going forward. That's what I mean. He's lights out.
What does it take to give you that comfort, though? And no, it's not a mirage.
It's what you make out of it. Look at the case of Jackson Dart. Everyone's saying Jackson Dart's a Giant franchise quarterback. What the heck has Jackson Dart done to be the Giant franchise quarterback? I think he's got a lot of potential. Don't misunderstand me. I like Jackson Dart. He's got a great set of legs, but he really has hardly done anything. And he was taken late in the first round. If he was an elite prospect, he would have gone earlier.
But he was taken in the first round. They traded up to get him, and the narrative's always going to be different.
Good, but I'm not prepared to say, oh, he's absolutely their quarterback for years to come. That's what the Giants are basing things on. He's going to be the quarterback for years to come.
I agree, but the narrative, I'm only pointing out that the narrative is always going to be different when a guy's drafted in the first round and against a guy drafted in the 4th round, right? Expectations, you can fail a little bit. Like Jackson Dart, again, he's been good at times, and he's shown, glimpses of what he can be. No consistency, though, but because he's a first-round draft pick, he's a quarterback of the future. Cade Klubnik plays like Jackson Dart played this year.
He's a 4th rounder. You could take a chance on him.
No, but if he gets the chance that you're talking about next year and he plays exactly like Jackson Dart played this year.
No, you can't go forward with him. You absolutely can't. That's exactly it. You can't move forward with Klubnik unless he's lights out by some chance. And is he going to even get that opportunity? He might hardly get to play it off. He's mostly carrying a clipboard and sees limited play. Jets absolutely have to draft a quarterback. There are going to be a number of them out there. I kind of wonder if Arch Manning is the Jets guy and they want to draft him and he decides he's not going to go. I'd love to see the bluff call the players like Eli Manning. Eli Manning escaped all the criticism that a Shedeur Sanders had because of the narrative that how their fathers were, Archie Manning, humble, great guy, Deion Sanders, brash, arrogant. That's the narrative, unfortunately, very unfortunately. But had the Chargers stuck to Eli Manning, he would eventually played with them.
He would have had to, yes. Yes,
I kind of wonder these narratives when John Elway refused to go to the Colts. Would John Elway really have played baseball? I think he would have called it bluff and not gone for 1 year. And I think the Yankees would have called him up. Can you imagine? And Elway wanted to play football. His father wanted him to play football. But could you imagine the Yankees called Elway up and he was ultra talented as a baseball player and Elway won the Rookie of the Year as a Yankee? And the Yankees, and they were entering this new era.
That's fun to speculate about, but while he may have had baseball talent, he wasn't ready to play in the major leagues. He was terrible at Elmira while he was there, and he did play in Elmira for.
He played well, from what I heard.
He wasn't.
Am I wrong?
It wasn't great. But again, we don't know. He wouldn't have not been a Yankee in a year. He would have been a Yankee at some point, probably.
An athlete like that develops very quickly. He would have developed. He was a natural Elway, natural athlete.
But Eli Manning didn't have that option, right? As a football or nothing. He would have had to play for San Diego eventually. So You're right. There's only so much. These guys don't have as much power as they think they have. And
sometimes Kyler Murray was, drafted by the Oakland Athletics. He was supposed to be maybe their starting shortstop of the future. That was their plan. They thought he was that good. So he did have an option.
He did. And see, who knows? He might go back. Russell Wilson also went back and played baseball, too.
I don't know. When you get a little older, when you get to Kyler Murray must be about 28, 29 now, if I'm not mistaken. 28?
Probably 28, yeah.
Yeah, when you get a little older, at that age, to come back to baseball, play shortstop, it's difficult. Yeah. Look, Anthony Volpe is having a hard enough time, perhaps.
Well, yeah. I mean, he had to come back, and he's probably not ready, obviously, but his approach at the plate is terrible, man. Oh, God. We'll get into maybe a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Listen, the NFL, again, it is what it is. We got the schedule. Everybody who's excited about that now is excited, and it's over. And you can all say,
the Cowboys are playing the Eagles Thanksgiving Day. Good gosh, they got to play them twice anyway. What do I care? I grew up tortured on Thanksgiving Day watching the Detroit Lions every year. The Detroit Lions were the most boring entity in sports on Thanksgiving for years and years and years. They were boring. They weren't good. The game was good. But the NFL, they've got their prime time game, their night game, or whatever.
Well, we got a Thanksgiving Eve game this year now too, and so there's 2 games this year on Wednesdays because the season opens on a Wednesday. We got Thanksgiving Eve. Do we need to play every day?
Eve. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, Netflix has a game on Thanksgiving Eve.
Well, who has the game? Netflix. Okay, I have Netflix, but all these entities, not everyone has Netflix. And what gets me, the one channel I don't have Peacock. And they like to even put one playoff game on Peacock, hoping that people are going to subscribe. I don't subscribe. I miss that game.
Well, if they start putting playoff games on those platforms, it becomes a different story, right, than just regular season games.
Yeah, and you know what I do also? If you want to do it the old-fashioned way, go to one of these apps and just follow it play by play if you want to. And like the old-fashioned way where people used to listen to games.
You listen on the radio. You got a lot of options, I suppose. Let's move on from the NFL and go to the NBA where there's actual games being played. We know the Knicks have been waiting around. Now Oklahoma City's waiting around after eliminating the Lakers the other night after our show. We aren't surprised about that. But the other 2 series, we'll start with the Spurs because I don't think we're going to be talking as long about this. I think that's going to end tomorrow. With there are 2 games tonight or just 1? 2, right? So the Spurs play the T-Wolves tonight, and Spurs had their way with them really the other night. I see this ending tonight. Any thoughts on your end?
No, they're back in Minnesota. I could see Minnesota winning this game. I could kind of see that. There's something about the Timberwolves. I don't want to use the word saying that they're resilient because they haven't been overly resilient in the past. This is a franchise that's never went to the NBA Finals, let alone win it. They've never went to the Finals. There's a lot of talent on that team, and they're at home. I could see them showing up and maybe winning this game. I don't know who'll win. It's a 50-50 game.
I can call them resilient. If they win tonight, I'll call them resilient, but not until.
You know what it is about the San Antonio team? I'm already picking them to win the NBA championship next year and the year after that. How do you like that, Keith? I'm giving you 2 years of predictions. I've never done that before.
You can't pick tonight's games right. You're going to pick 5 years.
Right. No, but the big question, everyone's wondering, are they a year away?
It might be.
We don't know that. I have doubts both ways. If San Antonio beats Minnesota decisively tonight, I'd pick them to beat OKC the next round and say, they're not a year away. They're going to beat OKC, and then they're going to win the NBA championship, beat whoever comes out of the East. But I'm not counting Minnesota out. I'm not counting them out. I'm just not quite doing it. It's a 50-50 game tonight at Minnesota. Minnesota's not going to go away easy. If San Antonio wins, they're going to be in a dogfight tonight.
You and I talked before the show a little bit about LeBron James and where I'm going to talk about it right now because I brought up San Antonio as a potential if they don't win. We both agree that the fact that LeBron doesn't want to go somewhere where they win the championship this year. So that team's out. But Cleveland's in play. I think San Antonio's in play. If they don't win a championship, I think it would be a very interesting place for him to finish up his career. You mentioned Golden State, which I think is another viable option for LeBron. He wants to go out a winner, but he wants to be part of making them a winner as well, right? So I don't think he wants to join somebody that won a championship.
Let me tell you what's going to have a big part in this decision. More so than normal, Savannah James's wife, his loyal wife, because a lot of it comes down to where you're going to be living. And they're going to have to uproot and go back somewhere. No, listen, they can go back to the Cleveland/Akron area because that's where they're from. So in a sense, they would be going home in a sense. Okay? But once you're used to living somewhere different. I mean, it's funny. I exchanged text messages with Max Kellerman. He's in Los Angeles. And I made a little joke, come back to New York where you belong. Because New York's home to him. He loves New York. But because of his career, whatever reasons, he's living in Los Angeles now. Like LeBron is living in Los Angeles. Does LeBron want to leave? He has other business interests. Does he want to leave? I used a bold move in New York. If the Knicks lose in the Eastern Conference Finals and LeBron comes to New York, and if they win a championship with LeBron coming to New York, you got to tell me, Keith, you know it. That is off the charts. That is crazy off the charts.
No.
And imagine LeBron playing at Madison Square Garden, all those games. That would be the hottest ticket in sports. It really would. LeBron at MSG, that's the go-to place. You know, or not that it's a great place now, but that's the absolute go-to place. That you could forget about Broadway. Madison Square Garden is Broadway.
It would be, but I don't think it's best for the basketball team. It might be great for the fans and the newspapers.
He's a free agent. He's a free agent. You don't have to give anything up to LeBron. You know what's going to be interesting, Keith?
Where does he fit on this team? Whose minutes is he going to take? That he's going to be better than them.
Listen.
I'm not saying OG for LeBron.
Listen, you're going to start him ahead of Josh Hart. I mean, no, you're going to start him ahead of Mikal Bridges. Give me a break here.
He doesn't do any of the things that those guys bring to the court that don't show up.
No, he does a lot of things better than those guys. He's a better player than those guys.
But I don't need that stuff.
LeBron would play point guard, and Jalen Brunson would adjust. Brunson wouldn't be handling the ball as much, and the Knicks would. We saw
that how well that worked this year. He needs to have the ball in his hand. He needs the ball. So does LeBron. So what happens now?
Listen, it would absolutely. LeBron can make any adjustments needed. Any adjustments needed, LeBron would make.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, too. We keep talking about it like it's LeBron's choice. The Lakers have something to say about this, too, and I don't think the Lakers want him back.
Oh, no. The Lakers absolutely want him back, but they're going to want – no, they absolutely want him back, but they want him back at their price. Mm-hmm. That's the thing about it, and we don't know what the price is going to be. Would LeBron be willing to settle? They can't disrespect LeBron with their offer. So we don't know. You know, the Lakers don't seem to get it. If you look at their team now, Luka's their star. You need legacy players or you need box office attractions. And Luka's a major box office attraction because wherever the Lakers go, you're going to think of Luka. And certain teams have that. We were talking about Cade Cunningham. He's the big attraction, okay? Anyone LeBron is with, he's the big attraction. If LeBron was on the Knicks and the Knicks are going out of town, you won't be thinking of, the Knicks and Jalen Brunson are coming to town. You'll think the Knicks and LeBron James. The 76ers, you don't think they're coming with Maxey. You think they're coming with Embiid. The
By the way,
Nuggets, they're coming with Jokic. That's what you think about. The Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards. You need those big names, and that's what Luka is. But Luka isn't going to translate into winning. That's the problem.
to the Bronny part of this, Rick, if he stays in LA, he doesn't. If he cared about Bronny, he would have told Bronny to come out of college when he wasn't ready. He doesn't care about Bronny. He cares about himself.
Get out of here. He loves his son. No, don't go there. That's
he doesn't care. He doesn't care about his professional career.
Even listen, LeBron. No. LeBron had tremendous faith in Bronny as a player. What
he wasn't ready for the NBA, and we'll never know if he would have been.
Listen, I felt Bronny should have been in college an extra year.
Should have been.
LeBron, I don't know whether you remember, LeBron was watching an NBA game around reporters before Bronny was in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And he made a remark, you mean to tell me Bronny isn't better than most of these guys? Sometimes as a parent, you have an overestimated opinion of your child's capabilities.
That's when you step back and listen to somebody else.
Well, yeah, I agree, but Bronny still could be a good NBA player. I haven't given up on him. He needs to play. I've watched Bronny when he's gotten in games. He's very quick. He can be an asset defensively. He hasn't found his niche as a shooter yet. The only way of Bronny James we could know for sure about him if he got to play a lot more, but it's hard to get him to play. Bronny may have been better off just on a bad team. You know what would have been
perfect? No, he'd been better off in college. He didn't play his freshman year because he was just out of a year away out of having a serious medical issue. He hadn't played a lot of college basketball. You don't go to the NBA and the G League and learn how to play. You learn at a lower level, and LeBron wanted to play with his son, and that's the only reason this got done. And I have
listen, Bronny.
Let me finish my thought. I have a lot of sympathy for Bronny because we'll never know probably how good, or maybe he wouldn't have been any good, but I'll never know because he didn't stay and develop the way he should.
I don't agree with you, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if Bronny said he wanted to play in college, he wants to work on his game there, he thinks he needs it there. Do you think LeBron would try to talk him out of it? LeBron would say, no, if you want to play in college, go ahead, play in college. Bronny wanted to, try this coming up to the Lakers. Look, Bronny's not a bad player. He's riding the bench with a bunch of other guys with the Lakers.
He's not a good player either, by the way.
No, there's not enough evidence there. But look at one of the other Laker rookies who came up with him. How do you pronounce his last name? Nelt? How do you know who I mean? He got off to a great start. They traded him to Charlotte. The deal fell through because of a medical issue with the other player. And he's back with the Lakers. He's not seeing playing time now. I mean, it's what it is. But Bronny is in the same situation as a bunch of other guys who are riding the bench. It doesn't mean that they don't have capabilities.
Bronny was going to do whatever his dad told him to do. Bronny wasn't going to stand up and say, I should go back.
I can't agree with that. I can't agree with that.
His dad is one of the greatest basketball players ever to play, and he's saying, Bronny, let's do this together. He's going to do it. He's not going to say no.
He wanted to. I think did LeBron try to talk him into staying in college?
He should have.
That could be better. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But listen, has Bronny come up and played really well and it saw a lot of playing time? You think it's a good move? And there's a precedent. LeBron didn't play in college. Let's say LeBron came up to the NBA and he was so in the beginning. Everyone would have been saying, oh, what a mistake. He should have played a couple of years in college. But LeBron was great. His career took off. Bronny's didn't. But
nobody else was taking Bronny. In that second round of that draft, nobody else was taking him. Nobody.
I will say this, though. If LeBron goes elsewhere, I think Bronny shouldn't follow him. I think Bronny should try to carve out his own niche. The only way Bronny should follow him is if that's the only way he could have a roster spot with an NBA team, then it's okay. But I think Bronny should stay put with the Lakers, try to have his own niche and succeed. And keep this in mind, JJ Redick is a good friend of LeBron's too, even though he's his coach. And if LeBron went elsewhere, I think JJ would really want Bronny to succeed. Would kind of see if he could fit him in and see what could happen there.
All conjecture. Well, we got the whole offseason to talk about that. Let's move on to the Pistons and the Cavaliers playing in Game 6 tonight with the Cavaliers with a surprising 3-2 advantage and playing in Cleveland. And
surprising because they were down 2 games to none.
Yes, and they were down 15 points.
It's not shocking. I picked the Cavaliers to win in the beginning of the series. I'm not picking them now.
But it's shocking that the Pistons blew a 15-point lead and a 9-point lead with less than 3 minutes. And the Pistons and your fans, shut up about the foul that wasn't a foul. I'm sorry, it wasn't a foul anyway. I don't care if it was a foul. You didn't lose a game because of that. You lost the game.
They were complaining the game before that, Bickerstaff. All he's doing is Bickerstaff, the Pistons coach, all he's doing is complaining about fouls all series.
Did the same thing last year.
I mean, complain. I can understand that you complain one game because you think it could help you the next game. Yep. You harass the officials and you're hoping they lean over backwards. You're thinking the next time. That's a strategy. I get it. With the Pistons, this isn't a strategy. This is whining. I think the Pistons are beaten at this point. I mean, it's all in their head. It's all in their head. They have one great play in Cade Cunningham. If they're to come back, he's got to carry them. Obviously, you need your supporting players to play well. Outside of Cade Cunningham, I have news for you, Piston fans. They don't really have a good team. They really don't. You look at their personnel. I mean, Tobias Harris, your number 2 option. Would he even be starting on the Knicks? And I know the Pistons did great against the Knicks during the regular season. That scenario would not take place again in the playoffs. But I don't think it's going to have to. I think the Cavs wrap it up in the 6th game tonight in Cleveland. And the Cavs go on to meet the Knicks. And that's going to be a tough series.
And James Harden had... At the end of the day, he had 30 points the other night, but he didn't shoot the ball. He didn't play great down the stretch.
He went to the foul line a lot. Consider that.
The foul line a lot. I'll give him that. And
you can't always look at shooting percentage. Could be deceiving. If a guy's going to the foul line, that doesn't come in as shooting percentage.
This is the best team he's had in a while. But is he over the hump is the thing. We got to see tonight. He needs to put together another decent game. I'm going to call this a decent game, just not a horrible game.
I think James Harden needs a championship to erase the playoff stigmas because he could play great tonight. The Cavs could win. But if they lose to the Knicks and he's average, we're going to hear the stigma. Harden doesn't get it done in the playoffs. If they get to the finals, let's say he plays great tonight, great against the Knicks, and the Cavs get to the finals, and they lose, and he's so-so. That narrative still might be following him around, unfortunately. It's kind of a little bit just a little like with Aaron Judge. Judge was great in the playoffs last year after the stigma. He hit 500, but some people say, well, he only hit 1 home run. And let's say Judge going forward this year, so-so in the playoffs, people are going to point to playoff difficulties. But unless your team wins championships, like Clayton Kershaw, the great Dodger pitcher, he's been mediocre in the postseason, very mediocre. Now and then he has a good game, but all in all, he hasn't been good, all in all. But the Dodgers have won championships. Yeah. So we don't focus on that. It
does take the sting away a little bit for sure.
Yeah, when you win, when the team wins, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much.
I'm gonna say this game goes to a game 7, but the Cavs do find a way to win because I want to play the Cavs. I don't want to play the Pistons. I really don't. I think the Knicks will have a harder time with the Pistons,
I'd like to play. I want to play the Pistons, even though based on the evidence, people say, well, the Knicks have owned the Cavs and the Pistons have owned the Knicks. We're going to hear that scenario. I think it's all irrelevant come the next series. You could throw out what happened in the past out the window. I mean, the way the Knicks are playing now and how they've been winning their games, I mean, they've been winning them in a dominating fashion, like it's all come together. But that's probably not a reflection of the real Knicks team. They're going to have to scratch and claw, for their wins in the next series.
It's also that they've been playing great, as you said. The 3 out of those last 4 games were just destructive.
And the games with Atlanta winning their last 3 decisively. And then,
So it's sitting around 8 or 9 days going to be. OG, is it good for the Knicks or bad for the Knicks? We're going to get OG. Will get healthier.
You have a choice. OG is a key player for them.
100%.
Can they win without OG? Yeah, they can win without OG. But he's not Brunson. He's not Brunson as valuable, of course, or as valuable even as Karl Anthony Towns. But nevertheless, he's very valuable to the Knicks. So you have a choice. Wait a little longer and risk being a little rusty for the first game, but you get OG back. You want OG resting the hamstring.
I need him healthy because I rate him just below Brunson, quite frankly, is important to this team. And you saw he stepped up big time, and because they took the leash off him a little bit. He's a great player with a lot of different talents. He's a lot like Cunningham. When the Knicks have the wraps off him, they might be able to win the East or championship without OG. They can't win it all without OG.
He doesn't take a game over. That's what I mean.
He did several times in his playoff series. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, now and then any player could take a game over. Karl Anthony Towns can do it on a given game. Brunson is the one Knicks player who takes games over. Donovan Mitchell is the one Cavs player who takes games over. Kay Cunningham's the one Piston player who takes games over. Those are the guys, who you absolutely need to be in good form at the very least to win series.
I need OG to win a championship. They're not winning without him. You can say what you want about him. He's not going to win. They're not going to win without him. They could win.
Well, if they get to the finals without OG, but they're going to have OG unless he re-injures himself. They're going to have him back.
I'm only talking about it from the point of where you said he ranks in the hierarchy of the Knicks. I think they could win. They can't win without Brunson. I get that. But if you tell me I can play without Towns or I can play without OG, I'd rather play without Towns.
I'd rather play without OG than Towns. I think Towns is too valuable on several fronts. I mean, he's a great shooting big man. Under the basket, you need him to rebound. You could alternate him a bit with Mitch Robinson.
Mitch Robinson will rebound.
It gives you a presence underneath, Towns and, Robinson there. And with OG, you could bring some guys off the bench. You have a number of different options, players you could bring off the bench. And are they as good as OG? Not quite, but you could do some nice patchwork.
Well, when we're back on Monday, we'll know who the Knicks get, and we'll be able to predict that series as well. So it's going to be a fun weekend, and we'll have the.
What do you mean when you're back?
When we're back Monday.
On Monday. What about Sunday morning, Keith?
When you and I are back, Jack. We'll talk about it Sunday morning, but when you and I are back. So, we won't be together alone until Monday. That's why I'm saying that. And I think the Cavs are going to win this series. I think you're right, but I think it's going to be in 7 games. I think you're going to win another game in Detroit.
Okay, I think the Cavs are winning tonight. Did you pick the Cavs in the beginning of the series?
I did not. I took the Pistons.
So you're kind of No, you're not. You're pulling a half a Mac because you're saying you're going to lose tonight and then win Game 7. So if it happens that way, you'll get credit for the
I can
save,
change.
not for the
losing
win,
credit.
for the save.
I lose credit because I picked the Pistons to win, but I'm not looking for credit. I'm just saying my opinion can change as the series goes on, but it doesn't mean I want credit for my, picking a team after they've already up 3-2.
Yeah.
So anyway, little bit of NHL just real quick. The Western Conference finals are set with the Avalanche, who are just rolling through everybody, playing the Golden Knights, and John Tortorelli came back with only 10 games, 8 games left in the season to take over the Golden Knights. He's got them in the finals, and the Hurricanes are waiting around for the Sabres-Canadiens series, which is now 3-2 Canadians. The Canadians have won a couple times in Buffalo in this series, I believe. And they're going back to Montreal with a 3-2 lead, and that game is tomorrow night at 8:00. Give
the Canadians credit because the way they lost Game 4 at home to Buffalo with the series being even 2-up, they lost in part on a crazy goal on a bank shot off the boards that somehow deflected on a crazy angle and went behind the goalie and went in the goal. It was like the craziest goal that you're going to ever see.
Crazy stuff.
You know what gets me too? The Edmonton Oilers, who got eliminated from the playoffs, they fired their coach Chris Knobloch. And Chris Knobloch took them to the finals for 2 years in a row. And you're firing him? So you're telling me either you win the Stanley Cup or you get fired? What kind of job is that someone's going to want to take? Unless for the money. And I think he signed an extension. They got to pay him all this money. If I'm the owner, this is insanity.
I think this happens a lot in the NHL, right? I think it's, what have you done for me today? Guys move on. Look at great coaches like Scotty Bowman, Mike Keenan, John Tortorella now. These guys move around like crazy. They're there 2 years, 3 years, and then they move on.
Lou Lamoriello used to be the worst. When the Devils would win the Stanley Cup, a year later the coach would be fired.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is insane.
What's going on? It's like Keith. Like us going to number 1 in the podcast ratings, and then a few weeks later the producers fire you. It's something like that.
I was thinking I was firing you, but your story works as well, I guess. So, how are we going to start the show without me? You don't have a way to start the show.
No, Mac would have fired you and been with me because he probably would have figured he could, handle me.
Anyway, what's good for hockey? I think the Canadians getting to the finals would be good for hockey. Sabres are a great story, but listen, the Canadian team hasn't won in 34 years. Not the Canadians. Any Canadian team has won in 34 years, and I think it's time that they take back their game, don't you? Jeez.
The name is still Magic. When you talk about the Magic names in sports historically, the Magic franchises, some franchises, the New York Yankees are the most Magic franchise in sports. Then maybe the Dodger brand, Brooklyn/LA, the Cowboy brand. I don't know what particular order. The Green Bay Packers, the Boston Celtics, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Montreal Canadiens. Certain franchises, the brand makes it extra famous.
I think that, I don't know if I agree about the Dodgers being second, though. Danny,
I wasn't giving it in order. I didn't mean it in order. I didn't mean it in order. I said the name the Dodgers, worldwide. When you think, let me put it another way. When you think of hockey and you ask someone, name a famous hockey team, chances are they might say the Montreal Canadiens. There's something magic in that name. They're not going to say the Tampa Bay Lightning. No. They're not going to say the Florida Panthers. Just the brand. That's all I'm talking about. But of course, there are people out there who are going to say, listening to this show, oh no, how can you not say someone like the Edmonton Oilers? The Edmonton Oilers don't have a magic name compared to the Montreal Canadiens. Something about that Canadian name.
Every sport is better when certain teams are good, right? Baseball's better when the Yankees are good and other teams, not just them, but the Yankees. college football's better when Notre Dame is good.
Always the Notre Dame magic name.
Yeah, and NHL's better when the Canadians are good and relevant. Maybe, they have
Yeah,
to be
yeah, exactly. Hey, listen, there've been better programs than Notre Dame's. I could point to certainly, recent years, Alabama's has been overpowering, Ohio State,
but
etc.
name recognition, Notre Dame is.
But the magic of the Notre Dame name, if I tell you, think of college football, what's the most magical name in college football? It would be Notre Dame.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. And if you're talking about casual fans, especially, right, they're going to think of these names that we just talked about. So anyway, good luck to the Canadians and Sabres tomorrow night as they try to get to their conference finals. We'll talk more about that on Monday. A little bit of MLB, and then we want to get to some boxing news as well before we wrap it up. The Yankees and Mets play this weekend. Yankees two teams. The Mets have righted the ship a little bit. They're only 8 games under 500. The kids are playing really well. Ewing and
they called up Ewing, yeah. But let's see.
Ben's the right fielder is playing much better than he did earlier in the year. But Ewing's just started with a bang here. He started off with a triple in his first at bat, and he's played very well in his first series, especially when you compare it to what Spencer Jones has done with the Yankees. I think he's like 1 for 16. So this series still carries some juice. I think it does, even with the Mets' struggles.
Well, you remember they used to have Keith the Subway Series, and not Subway Series. I mean, excuse me, I meant to say Mass Trophy game. This used to be an exhibition game. They play one another, Mass Trophy game.
But they play
an exhibition game during the year. It doesn't carry the juice it did before. Let's be honest about it, because interleague play is common now.
Yep.
It's not the same, and I'm not against interleague play. The days of the American and National League, well, which is a better league, there's no longer rivalry, not at all.
Nope.
It's different conferences, basically. And the Mets just played the Tigers. The Tigers. I mean, that's an odd pairing, right?
Very.
I mean, we're not quite used to that. But it's always fun because it's one-stop shopping for New York baseball. And fans enjoy teasing one another. Look, I was wearing a Yankee jacket to Shea Stadium years ago, and this is when the Yankees won their run of winning 4 World Series in 5 years. And the Met fan just passed by, and he said to me, "The Yankees suck." He didn't say it jokingly. And I'm thinking to myself, "You idiot, we've won a few World Series here." And that's the stupidity of some people, they really
they won twice as many in those 5 years as the Mets have won in their whole history. So that tells you all you need to know. Yankees are holding their breath. Fans are holding their breath to see what Max Fried's MRI is going to bring back, hopefully today.
But we do want to beat the Mets a little more than the normal game. If you're a Yankee fan, you want to beat the Yankees a little more than you would another team. But what's a bigger rivalry? If you're a Met fan, what's a bigger rivalry to you, the Yankees or the Phillies?
Phillies. Same way with the Yankees.
That's more of a rivalry. And what's a bigger rivalry to Yankee fan? I know they're not good this year, but the Yankees are Red Sox. The Red Sox are the Mets. There's the Red Sox. They have more of a magic name. I wonder if Toronto has Toronto is getting there. They're entering the territory of a rivalry. Not quite. If Toronto is better this year, and if they win a couple of games ahead of the Yankees instead of the Rays, it would be a rivalry. I think as a Yankee fan, you don't take the Rays as seriously as you would Toronto if they were up ahead a couple of games, because you're a Johnny-come-lately. That's what used to drive me crazy with Mac. A team gets off to a good start, and you're sold on them. Mac used to tell me Yamamoto, he had a bad first game with the Dodgers, and Mac started to show, do you think the Dodgers regret signing Yamamoto to the contract? I said he had one freaking game, I said to Mac.
It's worked
Mac
out.
asked me, do you think the Yankees regret signing Judge to his new $40 million a year contract because he struggled for a few games? That's how Mac and myself butted heads, and you're from that school, Keith. You think the Rays are a serious threat to win the World Series?
I didn't say. When did I say that? I picked them to finish
the way you're shrugging your shoulders. Oh, they would be as much of a threat as Toronto. Give me a break, Keith.
I'm telling you, they are as much a threat as Toronto. Yes, I don't think they're going to win this division, and they may not make the playoffs, but they're playing really good baseball.
They obviously are playing great baseball.
As good as anybody.
It's about a little more than a quarter of the season to go. They played like 42 games,
25% away into the season. Yeah.
Okay, they're not built to last. The
40
Rays
games is a significant. 40 games is a significant.
They have been wonderful, but they're not built to last. Can they make the playoffs? Maybe they will. They're only a couple of games ahead of the Yankees. I wouldn't be concerned to be a couple of games behind the Rays. Not at all. If I was in Toronto's position, 9 games behind out of first place, I wouldn't be overly worried, but I'd certainly be concerned. Hey, guys, we got to get closer. We're too far back here, and we've got to start edging up.
I picked them to finish last in this division, by the way. So
the Rays.
Yes.
Yeah, and will they finish last? Good question, because they have a substantial lead, over the Red Sox and Blue Jays. Blue Jays are probably going to finish ahead of the Rays with the Yankees.
Probably.
Orioles, I'm concerned about because we thought they might improve, and they had a bad year last year, and they don't look any better this year. Their players like Gunnar Henderson, their franchise player, their shortstop.
Right. Not hitting.
He hasn't exactly been turning in the performance that wasn't anticipated.
None of their bats are, and the starting rotation's been a little iffy too. But they just took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees too. So.
Okay, time's been flying by. You'd mentioned with boxing.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. Dennis Rappaport, well-known manager, and he promoted big boxing personality, passed away yesterday at age 81. Dennis Rappaport did help me a lot for my book on Michael Spinks when I interviewed him. Even though he was writing his own book, he took the time, he talked to me. The first long feature story I ever wrote as a writer on one particular individual was on Dennis Rappaport. I remember it was in the 1980s for Boxing Beat magazine. And the title of the story when I wrote it was Meet the Real Dennis Rappaport. And he would carry that magazine in a suitcase to show people. And it kind of created a little bit of a bond between us. He was a co-manager, Jerry Cooney. He promoted George Foreman. He transitioned from a manager to a promoter, and big boxing personality there. Good guy. I enjoyed talking to him, good guy to talk boxing with. And, at age 81, he passed. Yeah.
81 years old he was?
Yeah, 81 years old. He'd had a number of issues over the years. Yeah. But certainly, it still was a shock. When
certainly a recognizable name to even, modest.
Yeah, also another, small boxing is Vasily Lomachenko announced his return to the ring. So he's going to be coming back at some point. He wants only big fights. So he'll be fighting for some title, I'm sure,
He's a free agent, correct? If I can use that.
Top Rank. He's been with Top Rank his whole career. He's a free agent. And by all means, he could work out any deal that he wants there.
Well, I'm sure you and Frank will be talking about these 2 stories probably Monday night.
Sure, a number of stories to talk about, absolutely.
Yeah, check out. You always get more boxing news and the best boxing news with Glove Fist on Monday nights at 7 p.m. with Jack and Frank Laterzo. So make sure you check that out. Jack's got the debate show tomorrow morning. Check that out with James and Brian. And I'll be on Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness and a program note. I'm doing the MLB update again at 9:30 today rather than 3 o'clock because of some travel plans. So I'll be on again in just a little bit. Jack, thank you. Have a great weekend. And you and I will talk about these topics again on Monday, but I will see you Sunday morning. So
See you, Keith.
have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.